So, ozembic, GLP-1s, these things are everywhere. Have you noticed that everywhere you turn, people are talking about ozembic, Manjaro, wegovy, Zepbound, all of these things. And there's a new one called rituximab. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Maybe you've got friends that have lost weight, or maybe you're thinking, hey, would these help me? So I just want you to understand how they are, how they work, and how to use them wisely, because here's the truth. These medications, they can be life-changing, but they're not magic. If you don't combine them with the right habits, you can lose muscle, you can lose bone density, you can lose strength, and after 50, that's a problem. There's younger people taking them as well, but let me introduce myself. I'm Steve McKinney. I've spent decades coaching people, actually 30 plus years, and I'm not here to convince you to take these GLPs or not to take them. That's a conversation that you can have. What I want you to do, though, is look at the effects, the side effects of obesity versus the side effects of the GLP-1s, okay? And the GLP-1s, your body makes these, your intestines release them. And the job of them is to tell your brain you've had enough food, and that's why what these drugs do is they help tell that, and they control blood sugar, they control your appetite, and you'll hear people say with these things, hey, I'm not hungry anymore, which is great, okay? So let me just run them down. Ozembic contains a medication called a semaglutide, and it was originally to help people with type 2 diabetes. Wegovy is actually the same medication as semaglutide, but the difference is Wegovy is specifically approved for weight loss. And then Manjaro, it's got tirzepatide, I think it's called, and it targets a different hormone. It contains the same medication, but it targets a different hormone. There's a new one, and this one is called rituximab or rituximab or something like that. But it works on all three systems. It's amazing. I've got people that are taking it, and it's working on controlling your insulin levels. It's really crazy how it works. But here's the thing. These things can be helpful for people who have diabetes, have high blood pressure, sleep apnea, severe joint pain. It actually has benefits for people who have cancer, because you want to control the insulin levels when you're dealing with cancer. So you want to keep the blood sugar under control. These are wonderful options, but most people think of these things in terms of how much weight they lost. The big question is, did you lose any muscle? Did you lose any bone density? Because after 50, muscle is one of the greatest predictors of longevity or long-term health. It keeps your metabolism kicking, it improves balance, it helps your bones, it prevents falls, it allows you to remain independent. You don't want to just weigh less, you want to be stronger, you want to have less body fat, and that's why the system I use is called the 3W approach to fitness. But here's the thing, without resistance weight training, okay, because the first W is weight training, the second W is walking, and the third W is watching your diet. But without resistance weight training, not only do you lose weight, you lose fat, you lose muscle, and you lose bone. I have read up to 33% can be bone and muscle. So don't get obsessed with the number, get obsessed with your health. So the big thing is resistance weight training. That's gonna help. And just remember, if these drugs are not to work for you, they're to work with you. So as you begin to lose body fat, stimulating muscle is super important, because you want to keep that muscle. At a doctor, a client went to their doctor and they wouldn't prescribe it because he had had two bad experiences with people who were extremely overweight and were sedentary. Their hips dislocated because they didn't do anything. They lost a ton of weight, but they lost muscle, they lost bone. So the key is proper strength training, coming up with new habits, making huge differences in your life. And most people who take these medications are really excited to lose 30, 40, even 50 pounds, but we don't want that to be muscle. And that's what we're gonna be talking about. This is part one in this series. We're gonna be talking about how these things work, what's the best use of them, and then I'm gonna educate you so you can make the choice. Have a great day.